All right, so there are basically 5 questions you have to ask yourself. Let's say you're working on a project that's kind of old or you're new to it and you come across some code that you think could be written better and you want to make it better. You want to do what's called a refactor. And what I mean by refactoring is just changing code. That's really what a refactor is. A lot of people will go and kind of complicate it with a lot of crazy phrases and things like that, but refactor just means changing some code. Well, should you do that? That's the big question that we have to have. And I would like to propose a couple of tips for you on whether or not you should do that refactor. The first is, when you look at it, is it violating the DRY principle? DRY stands for do not repeat yourself. And part of the reason why you don't want to repeat yourself is it's just a waste of code. But here's the thing, I kind of apply this rule. I got it from Kaushik Gopal of the Fragmented podcast, where he doesn't refactor repeated code unless he's repeating it 3 or more times. That's how I like to approach it. So if I've written a function once and then I write it again somewhere else, then that's usually fine. But if I write it a third time, then I'm going to sit back and I'm going to ask myself, okay, I'm starting to repeat myself, so maybe I need to actually go and make an update and change here as far as using it over and over and over again. The next one is going to be the question that you have to ask yourself is, are you reducing dependencies here? And what I mean by this is a dependency is where class A needs to know about class B, how to build it, how to do everything that it needs to go and create class B. This is considered a bad practice, because if class A knows a whole lot about class B, then class A has a dependency on B, and if B were to suddenly change, then that means that class A has to be changed as well. So when you go and you're looking at your code and you see that you could reduce that dependency, you can make it so that class A depends less on class B, then that's when you want to go and you want to make the refactor, you want to make the change to the classes. The third question is going to be, you've gained more knowledge. You know how to do something better. You've learned about this new technique with the language well, here's a really good example. Kotlin has a lot of extension functions, a lot, that do a lot of things for us. And I don't know all of them, you don't know all of them, and they're adding more and more to them, to the language all the time as people use them and propose them. Well, let's say you come across a function that you wrote and you realize, oh, that function now is an extension function in Kotlin. Well, this is a great time for you to go and refactor. You can remove that function and then add in another, remove that function and then use that the extension function elsewhere in your app. So that's kind of cool, right? So that's what you want to, when you know more about the language, or when you learn something new and you want to go and make that update. The other is when the requirements change, and this happens a lot in projects. Your requirements are going to be changing on the fly. That's kind of what the agile process is all about. It's where we go and we make changes to things as we're able to make changes. I mean, the waterfall method is basically where you set up and you know everything ahead of time before you do any coding. The agile method is you don't know everything ahead of time, and that's kind of the whole point with the agile method, is you don't know everything, but you can go and you can start coding right away. And when the requirements change, that's a great opportunity for you to go and update your code and make it a little bit better. And then finally, the last part is when you can go and make some performance improvements. When you realize, oh, this loop that I'm using is not the best, so let me go and change it. Or, oh, I'm using an array here when I should use a sparse array. Look that up. Thank me later when you look that up. It's a really good usage of arrays. Or I can put this on a separate thread. I mean, it's writing a file and it's using this one thread that it shouldn't be using, and now I can go and make the update to make a different thread. So that's kind of the performance improvements that we are talking about, where we want to make the app perform better and do better over time. All right, so there are basically 5 questions you have to ask yourself. Are you violating dry here? Or you realize that you're violating dry. Next is, are you able to reduce some dependency that's going on here? Or you gain more knowledge of the system, or gain more knowledge of Android itself, or even the language. The requirements change. Or you can improve your app's performance. Those are the 5 things, 5 criteria that you can use to help you determine whether or not you want to perform a refactor. Okay? Hopefully that helps you. Hopefully that teaches you, or hopefully you'll be able to use those 5 requirements, 5 criteria later on when you are working on your app. If you enjoyed this, if you found this very helpful, then do me a huge favor, please, and hit that subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I do videos every week. I do them every Tuesday and Thursday. Share this video with someone that you think it will help. I think it would be great if we can spread this out, spread this information a little bit more. All right. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.